Hi, and welcome back to Wounded on Sixes. Today we're going to be looking at my Inventor's Fair Tau as we try to stretch the limits of our tactical abilities with some new tech. It's the Twin Lance Expo. We're going to be running the experimental Cadre in this one, and these two models here are going to be standing in for the Twin Lance, which I have not received my order yet, but it will be on the table and is on its way as soon as the pre-order window is up. But we're going to be bringing the experimental Cadre today, and the experimental Cadre is not an off-taken detachment, probably because it's one of the weaker detachments, although Tau have like really good detachments in their book and what they've gotten in various detachment releases. So why I really like the experimental Cadre with the Twin Lance is because it can really do a lot of things for our Twin Lance that other detachments can't, namely allow them to shoot at a further range. So the experimental Cadre detachment rule is going to give us an extra 6 inches to all of our ranged weapons. So these guys with their primary weapons being range 18 are now going to be range 24, allowing them to be way more tactical in what we can do with them, because now with that Scout 8, with that Deep Strike rule, with that Move 10, with that ability to move 6 inches at the end of the fight phase or fall back, this allows us to really determine the engagement that they take more and more. It also really helps with their ability to -1 charges, because we're going to be able to be shooting further away, be able to move back 6 inches, and really be able to use that -1 to charge for a unit within 12 inches of us much more effectively, meaning those units are going to have to get closer to us, which is going to be harder because we're able to shoot from a little bit longer range. So what we're essentially doing with this detachment is negating that ability for our opponents to punish us because we're only 18 inches away. Other reasons for using the experimental Cadre also come with its stratagem suite. So we're going to be able to give them a D3+1 heal with a CP in the command phase, so giving them more durability. There's also a -1 to wound if the strength is higher than our toughness. With 2 T6 models, that could really boost the reliability and the sustainability of this unit. So now we're not only able to determine our engagements better, able to -1 targets that may be able to charge this unit. Now we're able to shoot this unit and scoot out of the way and still stay out of harm's way from like a shot. Or we're able to get aggressive like you've seen a lot out there, where we're able to kind of just move on to an objective and take it. So we can do a lot of things. And that heal maneuver plus also making them -1 to wound helps with that as well. We also have those abilities in the experimental Cadre to make them either +1 strength or +1 AP, or both if we want to make all their weapons hazardous. We also can do the sustained lethals or both if they're in hazardous. Now they already have sustained against the closest enemy unit, so that means for 1 CP we can make them sustained and lethal without any penalty of hazardous, just for that 1 CP, as long as it's against the closest enemy model. So there's a lot more to the experimental Cadre than just that extra 6 inches. It does open a lot of other lanes for us, but the stratagem suite is also really good. Not to mention, it makes our all of these things, except for maybe 1 or 2 of the stratagems, don't work for other all of our other battlesuits that we're going to have in the list. So, the detachment itself is no slouch, and it also opens up some other opportunities from other units. But I think that the kind of benefits that we get from the experimental Cadre with Twin Lance are being overlooked, because I see a lot of people just saying we're going to throw it in Monka, and sure, they're great in Monka, but if you're looking to have a little bit different flavor, keep these guys alive and have like a lot more say over what happens with them and make them a real terror on the board, I highly recommend you take a look at that experimental Cadre. As we look at the rest of the list, we have a 10-man unit of Pathfinders. They're going to have the recon drone so they can infiltrate, but we want to keep these guys out of harm's way because it's the only unit of Pathfinders we're going to have. They are very good at guiding, and they can even guide themselves, and they're going to help us to ignore cover on all their guides as well. We also have a unit of stealth suits. They're basically going to be performing the same exact role, just there to perform some guides. We only have one, so we want to try to keep this unit alive, and they're going to provide those rerolls and the ignore cover whenever they guide into something. And then, of course, we have the 5-man unit of Vespid. These guys are just great for scoring secondary points. They have all the time uppy downy, a small footprint, and they do have OC, so they can hold down an objective and perform actions as well. So really good unit to bring along. We have enough points for a Ethereal, and this guy is just going to be there to try to get us some extra CP. We do have a lot of really good stratagems in this detachment, so this guy can help us to make sure that we're getting more CP and that we're not having to burn maybe secondaries that we can score more effectively. That's really good in Tal because we do have a problem holding down primary. So if we can score a secondary, we definitely do. And if, maybe we can score a secondary in the next turn, but, this makes sure that we don't have that pressure all the time to get rid of that secondary we may be able to do next turn for that CP. So that's why I like to have the Ethereal. With the current meta, I've been a little bit more partial to the Hammerhead with Railgun, really just for those like Marines, tanks, or, guard tanks, Rogaldorns, things of that nature. If we can ignore cover, the AP5 on the big gun can really just bust a hole through one of those big old tanks that don't have invols. And that's really what I have it here for, is to go at heavy targets that may not have an invol, like Marine tanks, like guard tanks, things of that nature. Really, really good. You could definitely swap this out for a broadside or two to find the points. I'm sure you could. But I kind of like that I don't really have to worry too much about saves because it's AP5. It's more than likely going to be guided, although it doesn't need to be in one of those into one of those tanks. But he is very effective at just punching through armor, especially armor that does not have that invol. We also have 2 units of crisis suits, so we're going to have a Sunforge unit with a Coldstar that's going to have quad fusions. Really good at just taking out any kind of monster and vehicle. Very, very effective. We also have the ability to put a lot of those really good stratagems to use here. We are going to give the commander with the Coldstar the fusion blades, so they're going to get extra strength on his melta weapon, which is really nice because he's going to be able to put that extra punch into a heavy target. Biggest problem with Sunforge always is that they're strength 9, so a lot of times they are only wounding on 5s, but they do get the full rerolls, which is nice. But still, it's nice to have that like strength 12 weapon that we can go into people with. And then we also have the Fireknives with missiles. These guys are just some of my favorite units and have been the entire edition. They're going to be with an Enforcer who's going to have 3 missiles, and then he's going to have the extra plasma weapon that you get with Experimental Cadre. So he's going to be able to kind of boost his damage a little bit, and you're going to get extra range with that plasma gun up to 24 inches because of the detachment rule. What I also like about this unit is that Experimental Cadre has a 18-inch lone op strat that you can do. Since we can move these guys back to 36 inches, that essentially means that we can make them like a heavy firepower Ghostkeel. Basically make it so that like no other units, unless they get really close, can touch this unit, which makes it really, really effective at throwing those missile pods at medium to light infantry. Moving along, we have 2 Ghostkeels. One is going to have the Cyclic ion raker. The other one's going to have that heavy fusion gun. Because we're running the Experimental Cadre, we're going to get an extra 6 inches on our range. So I don't mind taking the fusion here. It's going to be 24 inches, which means we're going to have Melta within 12 inches, which is really nice. Usually what I do, as everybody who's been following the channel knows for a while, I'll do the Build a Night workshop where I'll have the 2 Ghostkeels, usually on my natural expansion. In this particular build, I'll be able to have the one with the Cyclic ion raker in 42-inch range. stand back a little bit, may even do some actions, while the one that has the 24-inch range can still stay out of the line of fire and shoot that big old fusion gun and anything that comes near. That fusion gun is strength 12 too, so we'll be able to punch into some armor with that as well. Ghostkeel is really, really good, and in this particular list, we're going to need to use them in tandem to hold down objectives, to perform actions, because we don't have a lot of action monkeys in this list. We have a lot of big, powerful damage dealing suits. Last and certainly not least, we have the 3 Riptides. I am currently running them WYSIWYG, 2 with the heavy ion accelerator, 1 with the heavy burst cannon. You certainly can run all 3 with the heavy ion cannon, but I like to run WYSIWYG, and I kind of also like the heavy burst cannon in conjunction with a lot of the other heavy firepower that we have in this list, just because we don't have a lot of infantry killers outside of that missile, the missile knives. So I don't mind bringing it along. And the one strategy note that I will bring to these guys is that in this list, like I said with the Ghostkeels, we don't have a lot of like little mission objective units. We really only have the Pathfinders, the Stealth Suits, and some Vespids. So we're going to need to get these Riptides involved, probably more than I even like to. But that's where things like the Twin Lance and the abilities that we can put on all these things with the experimental cadre are going to come into effect, because we're going to have longer range. We're going to be able to give them -1 damage if we need to. We're going to be able to heal some of our Riptides if we need to. So we get all those abilities that we talked about with the Twin Lance on the Riptides. You know, Riptides can be really good at like blocking out an objective. And since we're probably going to be focusing down the middle objective with our Twin Lance and our Crisis Suits, that can allow us to maybe take some liberties with the Riptides, maybe even start one in strategic reserve, just so we can come on into, the opponent's weak side and start to cause some trouble there. So again, I wouldn't be too afraid to get involved early and often with your Riptides. We have a lot of big chunky things to get through, and we're going to need the Riptides to put themselves on the line to try to keep those objectives and keep us in parity on the primary. And there we have it. There is my Expo cadre list using the new Twin Lance. I'm really impressed with this unit so far in my testing, and I'm really excited to get the actual unit built and painted and on the table for you all. I am planning to put out some more Tau videos with the Twin Lance in them. I'm also happy to announce that Team Wounded on Sixes will be going again to the Atlantic City Open this June. So we will be doing a lot of testing for that and a lot of prep. We may even show off a couple of the armies from some of the teammates that are going to ACO this year. So stay tuned. We're going to try to have more videos out. Unfortunately, the last video I had about my Necron tournament did not go well. I do need to get a new PC, so a lot of these videos are being filmed and edited on my phone. So I'm hoping to get some new equipment here in the next couple of weeks, including a new computer, so I can start doing some more highly edited videos and screen share videos and things of that nature, hopefully having some more tier lists. But if you like this list and you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't, and make sure you come back for more Wounded on Sixes.